Is it possible to be happy? Can people reach their full potential? And if you did reach your full potential, what would that be like? I did a video on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I didn't really go over the top level or the self-actualization level. What I'm going to go over today is this top level of mental health or self-actualization. What is it? What qualities does a self-actualized person have? And what it would be like to achieve self-actualization. So instead of studying mental disorders, Maslow studied the most happy, successful, and stable people he could find. So instead of studying insanity, Maslow attempted to study sanity, creativity, and stability, all of the qualities that are the best of mankind. First of all, what does self-actualization mean? Well, self, that's pretty simple, it's you. Actualization means to make real or actual. In other words, to put forth into the universe. So if you had a vacant lot and you built a house on it, you could say that you actualized the house. Get the idea that an empty lot has the potential of having a palace built on it, but the empty lot has not achieved its full potential because nothing is built on it. In humanistic psychology, the idea is that people have far more potential than they normally achieve. And somehow in the day-to-day struggle to fulfill their survival and social needs, they somehow lose sight of that greater potential. Self-actualization is like a seed that grows into a glorious rose, or like an ugly duckling that grows into a beautiful swan, or like a caterpillar that grows into a butterfly. It's achieving what is the best in yourself. So that's the first concept. Self-actualization would be to bring the self fully into the universe. It's the idea that deep inside, everyone has a potential and glorious self that's usually buried under life's problems and struggles to survive. And it's waiting to burst out into the universe with all of its potential. So the second concept is potential. And what do we mean by potential? Well, this is what Maslow says about that. It's the desire for self-fulfillment, namely the tendency for him, the individual, to become actualized in what he is potentially. This tendency might be phrased as the desire to become more and more what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. Self-actualization is a need. After all, it's the chart of the hierarchy of human needs. People tend to view self-actualization as a state, but it's more like the fulfillment of the innermost needs of self. The next thing you should know is that people tend to think that if they fulfill the lower needs on this chart, then poof, they're self-actualized and it's a permanent thing. Kind of like when you're enlightened and you hit nirvana or something. But this isn't how it works exactly. Someone who is self-actualized still has physiological needs, safety needs, belonging needs, and self-esteem needs. Just because someone has started to fulfill their self-actualization needs does not mean that they are free from eating, breathing, and sleeping. And if their lower levels aren't being met, then they will be forced to concentrate on those lower levels until they are met. Maslow believed that one of the problems of his self-actualization theory is that in order to truly understand self-actualization, you have to experience it for yourself. And that brings us to one of the 15 characteristics of a self-actualized person, and it's peak experiences. Peak experience. What is that exactly? you may or you may not have had a peak experience in your life. Essentially, what it is a self-actualization experience. And we're going to examine what that experience is like. So it's experience, and it's the peak of experiences. It's the best and the most intense experience possible. And I'll give some examples. Imagine what it would be like if you just won an Olympic gold medal. Or how intense and wonderful and bright does life seem after you've fallen in love? And what it must have been like for Einstein when he discovered the secrets of relativity. These intense peak experiences are described as intense happiness, a heightened sense of reality, an expansion of awareness, a sense of oneness with the universe, and an extreme clarity of thought and understanding. People have been having peak experiences since there have been people. And it's discussed in all cultures, including Eastern and Western philosophy. Aristotle wrote about them. Hindu yoga practitioners spend years in meditation achieving them. And in Mayan cultures, they used to purposefully bleed themselves in an attempt to have these peak experiences. I just want to point out that people will go around chasing these peak experiences. And that would include music, dancing, meditation, drug use, sex, exercise, prayer, extreme sports, love, etc. So this is what Maslow said about peak experience. Feelings of limitless horizons opening up to the vision, the feeling of being simultaneously more powerful and also more helpless than one ever was before, the feeling of ecstasy and wonder and awe, the loss of placement in time and space with finally the conviction that something extremely important and valuable had happened, so that the subject was to some extent transformed and strengthened even in his daily life by such experiences. So notice how he says the loss of placement of time and space and the feeling of being more powerful and more helpless than ever before. It sounds like it could seem a little scary, huh? The peak experience represents a significant change in perception in the way one views the world. If one has a belief system by which to understand the experience, they consider it enlightening. But if you have no way to interpret that experience, it can be frightening and mistaken for psychosis. Peak experiences have been given different names by many different people, including peak experiences, aesthetic experiences, spiritual experiences, and in Buddhism, they call it satori, and in psychiatry, they are sometimes called bipolar manic episodes. Maslow believed that peak experiences were a defining part of self-actualization, and self-actualized people will have these peak experiences more frequently, and they will last longer for a self-actualized person than for a normal person. I'm curious to see if you have ever experienced a peak experience, so I'd like you to leave a comment and tell me what they are. I hope that gives you an idea of what self-actualization is. In the next video, I'll be going over the 15 characteristics of what a self-actualized person is. Also coming up, there are 8 things Maslow said you could do to become self-actualized. So thanks for watching my video. And I'd really like to thank all the people that take the time to rate my video and all the comments that you leave. I really appreciate it all. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.
There are over 350 videos on our channel, and I doubt you've seen them all. And the topics range from weight loss, nutrition, sexual health, all the way to psychology and mind control, and anywhere in between. And I think if you check them out, you're going to find some really interesting stuff.